Narcissism is a dangerous mindset, not because it creates strong leaders, but because it erodes true leadership. A narcissist thrives on admiration, on the idea that their value comes from being the center of attention. They are driven by their need to feel superior, often at the expense of others. But here's the truth, the one sentence that cuts through this illusion, that shatters the foundation of their self-constructed pedestal, is simple: it's not about you. In a world where we're taught to value self-promotion and personal success, the reality is that true success comes from service, from impact, from understanding others. The sentence "it's not about you" strips away the false narrative that the world revolves around one individual. It's a reminder that leadership isn't about seeking validation or basking in glory. It's about building others up, fostering collaboration, and achieving something greater than oneself. It's a reminder that, in the end, the measure of a person is how much they help others rise, not how high they elevate themselves. A narcissist may attempt to resist this notion, clinging to the image they've built, but the power of this phrase is undeniable. It reminds us all that leadership is a responsibility, not a platform for self-worship. It's about finding strength in humility, building relationships that transcend ego, and creating a world where each individual can thrive, not because they are elevated above others, but because they lift others up. So, when faced with narcissism, whether in a leader, a colleague, or even within ourselves, remember the power of one sentence: it's not about you. It cuts through ego and invites real growth, both in the individual and the community. Narcissism undermines true leadership. At its core, narcissism is rooted in the need for constant validation, attention, and praise. The narcissist's world, you is one in which their worth is defined by how others perceive them. This desire to be the center of attention can often lead them to manipulate situations, exaggerate their achievements, and put others down in an attempt to elevate themselves. While they may appear confident on the surface, their foundation is fragile, built on an illusion that the world revolves around them. In their eyes, every success is a personal victory, and every failure is someone else's fault. This perspective, however, fails to acknowledge the true essence of leadership. Leadership is not about placing yourself on a pedestal. It's not about standing in the spotlight and demanding admiration. True leadership comes from a place of service, from a desire to help others and make a meaningful impact. It's not about how many people you can impress or how many accolades you can collect. It's about how you can raise the potential of those around you, how you can inspire others to take action, and how you can contribute to something greater than yourself. The narcissist's focus on self-centered goals blinds them to the realities of leadership. They see themselves as the hero of the story, the one who should always be in control, always be praised, always be recognized. But true leaders know that leadership is about empowering others. It's about lifting people up, guiding them, and helping them realize their own potential. A leader's job is not to be the most important person in the room, but to create an environment where others can thrive and succeed. A narcissist may build a following, but it's often a shallow one. People might admire them, but they do so out of fear or obligation, not because they are inspired. The narcissist's leadership is transactional. They give something in exchange for praise or loyalty, but there is no deeper connection. True leadership, on the other hand, is built on trust, respect, and a sense of shared purpose. It's not about gaining power or influence at any cost. It's about working together with others to achieve something meaningful. When a leader's focus is solely on their own image and success, they fail to see the bigger picture. They miss the opportunity to build a community, to create a culture of collaboration, and to foster an environment where everyone can contribute and grow. This is where the narcissist's leadership fails. They often don't value input from others, because doing so would undermine their sense of superiority. They don't listen to feedback or criticism, because it threatens their carefully constructed image of perfection. Leadership is a shared journey. It's about working together towards a common goal, not competing for individual recognition. A true leader understands that they are only as strong as the team they build, the relationships they nurture, and the trust they earn. They recognize that the greatest leaders are those who empower others to rise and succeed, not those who stand above everyone else, basking in the glow of their own self-importance. Narcissists, in contrast, are more concerned with maintaining their image than with the well-being of those they lead. They prioritize their own desires over the needs of the group, and as a result, their leadership is often short-lived. People may tolerate their behavior for a time, but eventually the cracks begin to show. Trust erodes, resentment builds, and the narcissist finds themselves isolated and alone, with nothing but their own inflated sense of self to keep them company. True leadership, however, is built on a foundation of empathy, humility, and a genuine desire to serve others. Leaders who focus on the needs of their team, who listen, who understand, and who inspire, are the ones who create lasting change. They don't need constant validation because they know their worth is not determined by the opinions of others. Their leadership is rooted in their commitment to something bigger than themselves, whether that's a mission, a cause, or the people they serve. When we move past the illusion of narcissism and recognize the power of service and collaboration, we can begin to see leadership for what it truly is: an opportunity to build others up, to create something meaningful, and to contribute to the greater good. It's not about you. It's about what you can do for others, and how you can make the world a better place, one person at a time. The power of the phrase, "It's not about you," is undeniable. This sentence, while simple, holds the ability to cut through the ego of a narcissist and reveal the reality that leadership, success, and influence are not about the individual seeking validation, but about the collective effort and the impact one can make on others. The moment we shift from a mindset of self-importance to one of service, we unlock the true potential of leadership. At the heart of this shift is the realization that no one achieves greatness alone. No matter how talented, driven, or charismatic an individual may be, their success is always intertwined with the contributions and support of others. It is this understanding that makes the phrase, "It's not about you," so powerful. It dismantles the narrative that one person's actions or words should be the focal point of attention. Instead, it redirects that focus to the greater good, to the collective effort that enables progress. When we say it's not about you, we're not diminishing the importance of individual contributions or talents. Rather, we are emphasizing that real leadership involves recognizing that those contributions are only valuable in the context of something bigger. It's about how your actions, words, and efforts impact those around you, how they inspire and encourage others to step into their own potential. It's about taking responsibility for the well-being and success of the whole team, rather than using leadership as a means to prop up your own ego. Narcissists struggle with this concept. They see leadership as a platform for their own success, a stage on which they perform for adoration and recognition. Every action, every word, is designed to reinforce their status and power. They do not see the importance of collaboration or shared success because in their world it's always about them. It's about how they look, how they are perceived, how their achievements reflect their worth. But when we remind ourselves that it's not about you, we let go of that need for constant admiration. We acknowledge that true leadership is measured not by how many people you can impress, but by how many people you can uplift, inspire, and support in their own journeys. This phrase also challenges the cultural norms we've built around success. In today's world, we are often taught to strive for personal achievement, to climb the ladder of success as quickly as possible, and to stand out from the crowd. We are encouraged to market ourselves to be the best, to claim our space at the top. And yet, when we focus solely on our individual success, we overlook the power of connection, of building relationships, of creating a culture of mutual respect and collaboration. It is only when we adopt the mindset of "it's not about you" that we begin to understand the true value of these connections. Imagine for a moment a leader who does not need to be the loudest voice in the room, but instead listens intently, understands deeply, and works relentlessly to elevate the people around them. This leader knows that the most powerful influence comes not from a place of ego, but from a place of empathy and humility. They know that their success is inextricably linked to the success of their team, that the growth of others is the true measure of their own leadership. And when they understand this, they stop seeking validation and start seeking progress. They stop trying to prove themselves and start creating opportunities for others to prove themselves. The power of "it's not about you" is also evident in how we build organizations, communities, and cultures. When leadership is rooted in this belief, it fosters an environment where everyone is encouraged to contribute, to share their ideas, and to grow together. It eliminates the toxic competition that thrives in environments where narcissism reigns and replaces it with a spirit of collaboration and trust. People feel valued for what they bring to the table, not just for what they can do for the leader. And in turn, they are more motivated, more creative, and more committed to the cause because they know their contributions matter. In contrast, narcissistic leadership creates environments where individuals are pitted against each other, where success is measured in personal terms, and where the team's collective potential is stifled by the leader's need for control and adoration. In such environments, people become transactional. They do what is required to gain the leader's approval, but there is little room for true innovation or growth. When you say "it's not about you," you change that dynamic. You remind everyone that the true goal is not personal achievement, but shared success. So, when faced with a situation where narcissism threatens to undermine progress, remember the power of this phrase. It's simple, but it carries a depth that cannot be ignored. By shifting the focus away from the self and onto the greater purpose, you create an environment where true leadership can flourish, where people feel valued and empowered to contribute, and where success is defined not by individual recognition, but by collective achievement. Leadership is about building others up. At its core, leadership is not about dominating the room or commanding respect through fear or authority. True leadership comes from a deeper, more profound place. It's about creating opportunities for others to rise. It's about lifting others, empowering them to see their own potential, and providing them with the support, guidance, and encouragement they need to achieve great things. Leaders who understand this recognize that their own success is intertwined with the success of those around them. They don't view leadership as a means to elevate their own status, but as a responsibility to foster growth and collaboration in others. When a leader's focus is on building others up, the entire environment changes. Instead of competition, there is cooperation. Instead of fear, there is trust. When people feel supported and valued, they are more likely to push themselves further, take risks, and step into their own leadership roles. Leadership is not about controlling others or dictating every move. It's about setting the stage for others to step up, make decisions, and take ownership of their roles. It's about recognizing that the strength of a team lies not in the individual who stands at the front, but in the collective strength of everyone involved. True leaders understand that their job is not to be the hero in every story. They don't need to be the center of attention or the one who takes all the credit. Instead, they shift the spotlight onto others, giving them the opportunity to shine. They celebrate the achievements of their team, acknowledging their hard work and dedication. This kind of leadership doesn't just foster a positive culture, it also brings out the best in everyone. When people feel like their contributions matter, when they feel seen and heard, they are motivated to work harder, to do better, and to help others achieve the same. A leader who builds others up doesn't just create followers, they create other leaders. They inspire others to take the lead, to step into their own potential, and to drive change in their own way. Narcissistic leaders, in contrast, operate from a place of fear and insecurity. They see their role as the one who must be the best, the most visible, the most important. Their focus is on their own advancement, and they often use manipulation or intimidation to keep others in check. They may take credit for the achievements of their team, while offering little recognition or praise in return. In their eyes, the success of others is a threat to their own status. They are more concerned with protecting their own image than with creating an environment where others can thrive. And this approach not only stifles the growth of the team, it ultimately undermines the leader themselves. When people feel undervalued or overlooked, they stop trying, they stop innovating, and they stop caring. The leader may succeed for a while, but eventually, their inability to build others up will catch up with them. On the other hand, leaders who focus on building others up know that their role is to support, to empower, and to encourage. They invest time and energy into helping their team members develop their skills, find their strengths, and overcome their challenges. They don't just give orders. They mentor, they guide, and they provide opportunities for growth. These leaders recognize that their own success is a byproduct of the collective success of the team. They take pride not in the accolades they receive, but in the growth and development of those around them. They know that leadership is not about being the best, but about bringing out the best in others. This approach doesn't just benefit the team, it benefits the leader as well. When you focus on lifting others up, you create a culture of collaboration, trust, and mutual respect. People are more likely to follow a leader who believes in them, who invests in their growth, and who is genuinely interested in their success. In return, the leader gains the loyalty, respect, and trust of their team. They create a positive environment where innovation can thrive, where people feel empowered to share their ideas, and where collaboration leads to greater results. It's a cycle of growth, where each person builds on the progress of others, and the leader plays a pivotal role in keeping that cycle moving forward. In contrast, when leadership is centered on self-promotion, when the leader is focused only on their own advancement, it breeds a toxic environment. People stop trusting each other, they stop working together, they stop trying to achieve something greater than themselves because they don't feel valued. They don't feel like their contributions matter. And when that happens, the entire team falters. Leadership is about creating an environment where everyone feels like they belong, where everyone's contributions are valued, and where everyone is given the opportunity to succeed. A leader who focuses on building others up understands that they are part of something bigger than themselves. They know that true success is not measured by how high they climb, but by how many others they help climb with them. A leader's legacy is not defined by personal accolades or achievements, but by the impact they have on the lives of those they lead. In the end, leadership is not about the leader at all. It's about those they serve, those they inspire, and those they empower. A true leader's greatest achievement is seeing others rise, finding success, and knowing that they played a part in that journey. Ego is the enemy of growth. This simple truth lies at the heart of many challenges faced by leaders and individuals alike. Our egos are often the loudest voices in our minds, convincing us that we need to be the best, that we need to be right, that we need to have all the answers. It tells us that our worth is tied to our accomplishments, our status, and our ability to outshine others. It can be a powerful force, pushing us to strive for greatness, but it's also a force that can hold us back, preventing us from learning, growing, and connecting with others in meaningful ways. When we let our egos dominate, we stop being open to feedback. We stop listening. We become more interested in protecting our image than in improving ourselves. We're afraid to admit when we're wrong because it feels like a blow to our self-esteem. We avoid situations where we might fail because failure feels like a reflection of our inadequacy. We become defensive, rigid, and closed off, but in doing so, we miss the opportunity to grow. We miss the chance to learn from our mistakes, to take advice from others, and to push ourselves to new heights. Our egos keep us stuck in a small, comfortable box where we're always right, but we're also never growing. True growth comes when we let go of the need to always be right, when we stop focusing on our own image, and when we begin to embrace the discomfort that comes with learning. Growth requires humility. It requires us to be vulnerable, to admit that we don't have all the answers, and to be open to the idea that someone else might have something valuable to teach us. When we put our egos aside, we create space for collaboration, for innovation, and for real progress. We stop seeing ourselves as the center of the universe and begin to see ourselves as part of a much larger whole. This shift in perspective allows us to approach challenges with a sense of curiosity, to ask questions instead of making assumptions, and to seek out opportunities for improvement instead of avoiding discomfort. Leaders, in particular, are often at risk of letting their egos get in the way of progress. Leadership is supposed to be about service, about guiding others, supporting their growth, and helping them achieve something greater than themselves. But when a leader is driven by ego, they begin to make decisions based on their own desires for recognition and power rather than the needs of the team. They may surround themselves with yes men, avoid feedback that challenges their authority, and dismiss ideas that don't align with their vision. Instead of creating a culture of trust and collaboration, they create an environment of fear where people are afraid to speak up or share their true thoughts. They prioritize their own image over the success of the team, and as a result, the team stagnates. The most effective leaders are those who are able to recognize when their ego is taking over and take steps to set it aside. They are the ones who actively seek out feedback, who ask for input from their team, and who admit when they don't know something. They create a culture where failure is seen as a learning opportunity, where mistakes are viewed as stepping stones on the path to success. By doing so, they inspire trust and loyalty in those they lead. They show that leadership isn't about being perfect or always having the right answer. It's about being willing to learn, to evolve, and to support others on their own journey. Ego-driven leadership leads to isolation. It pushes people away, creates division, and undermines trust. But when ego is put in check, leadership becomes an inclusive, collective effort. It's no longer about the leader being the one with all the answers. It's about working together, sharing ideas, and lifting each other up. When ego is set aside, we allow ourselves and others to grow, to innovate, and to succeed. We create environments where people feel safe to take risks, to speak up, and to contribute their unique perspectives. And in doing so, we all grow stronger together. It's not just about leadership, though. Ego affects all of us in every aspect of our lives. Whether we're working in a team, building a relationship, or trying to improve ourselves, our egos often get in the way. We can be afraid to ask for help, to admit that we're struggling, or to share our vulnerabilities because we think it makes us look weak. But in reality, it's the opposite. True strength comes from humility, from the willingness to acknowledge our shortcomings and work toward improvement. It comes from the courage to step outside our comfort zones and embrace growth, even when it feels uncomfortable. In the end, the ego keeps us from being the best version of ourselves. It holds us back from connecting with others, from learning, from growing, and from achieving something greater than ourselves. The more we allow our egos to guide us, the less we can truly lead and the less we can achieve. When we choose to let go of our egos, we open up a world of possibilities. We allow ourselves to learn from others, to grow in ways we never imagined, and to contribute to something far bigger than ourselves. It's not easy, but it is the only path to true progress and fulfillment. If we can set aside our egos and lead with humility, we create space for others to do the same. And in that space, true growth and collaboration flourish. When we stop seeking validation, we start to unlock a deeper, more authentic kind of success. Validation is a powerful force in our lives. It gives us the reassurance that we're on the right path, that what we're doing matters, and that others recognize our worth. But the problem is, when we constantly seek validation from external sources, whether it's through praise, recognition, or approval, we give away our power. We place our sense of self-worth in the hands of others, and that's a dangerous place to be. If our value is based on how others perceive us, we are at the mercy of their opinions. Their approval becomes our measure of success. And when we don't receive that validation, we begin to question ourselves. We feel doubt, frustration, and even despair. This cycle of seeking external validation can create a fragile sense of self, one that constantly needs reassurance to stay intact. and it's a cycle that never truly leads to fulfillment. Validation from others is fleeting. Even when we get it, it rarely lasts long enough to make a real difference in our lives. True success, however, comes from within. It's not about how others see us, but about how we see ourselves. When we stop seeking validation, we free ourselves from the need to constantly prove our worth. We start to lead with a sense of purpose, driven by our own internal values, goals, and motivations. Instead of measuring success by how many people approve of us, we begin to measure it by how much we've grown, how much we've contributed, and how much we've helped others. This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful. When we stop seeking validation, we begin to create from a place of authenticity. We stop trying to conform to what others expect of us, or trying to please others with our actions. Instead, we start to make decisions based on what truly aligns with our values, our mission, and our goals. We begin to take actions that are true to who we are, not actions designed to gain the approval of others, and this is when we start to see real progress. Without the need for external validation, we become more resilient. We don't crumble when things don't go as planned, and we don't lose ourselves in the opinions of others. We learn to trust ourselves, to rely on our own judgment, and to stay focused on our own path. The more we stop seeking validation from others, the stronger our sense of self becomes. We begin to act with confidence and conviction because we know that our worth is not determined by anyone else's approval. It's defined by the choices we make, the actions we take, and the impact we have on the world. In leadership, this principle is crucial. Leaders who constantly seek validation from others are often the ones who struggle the most. They are the ones who are swayed by public opinion, who change course based on what others think, and who find it difficult to make tough decisions. They are more concerned with being liked or admired than with doing what's best for their team or the organization. This kind of leadership is reactive, not proactive. It's based on fear of rejection and a need to be seen as successful, rather than a commitment to achieving meaningful goals. But leaders who stop seeking validation, who are grounded in their own sense of purpose, are able to make decisions based on what's right, not what's popular. They trust their instincts, they have the courage to take risks, and they are willing to stand by their beliefs, even if it means facing criticism. These leaders create environments where others feel empowered to do the same. When people feel confident in their own worth, they become more independent, more creative, and more engaged. They're not looking for external approval, they're focused on contributing to something greater than themselves. The same principle applies to all aspects of life. When we stop seeking validation, we free ourselves to be our authentic selves. We stop trying to fit into predefined molds or live up to other people's expectations. We stop comparing ourselves to others and instead focus on our own growth. We begin to live life on our own terms, not based on what society, our peers, or our family expects of us. This doesn't mean we ignore feedback or constructive criticism. It simply means that our sense of worth isn't tied to whether or not others approve of us. Letting go of the need for validation also leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment. We stop waiting for external recognition, and instead, we begin to find joy in the process itself. We begin to celebrate the small wins, the incremental progress, and the internal growth we experience along the way. We no longer need someone else to tell us we're doing well. We know it because we can see it within ourselves. The more we focus on our own journey, the less we need validation from the outside world. It's important to remember that letting go of the need for validation doesn't mean becoming indifferent to others or isolating ourselves. It simply means that we no longer define ourselves by how others perceive us. We can still care about the opinions of others and seek feedback, but it's no longer the driving force behind our decisions. We no longer tie our self-worth to praise, recognition, or approval. Instead, we build our self-worth from within, based on the choices we make, the values we hold, and the impact we have. When we stop seeking validation, we begin to live a more authentic, more meaningful life. We stop waiting for permission to be ourselves, and we begin to take ownership of our own success. We trust in our ability to achieve great things, not because others say we can, but because we believe it ourselves. And when we do that, we unlock the full potential within us. When we understand that our purpose is not about ourselves, but about something greater, we begin to tap into a deeper level of motivation and fulfillment. Purpose is the driving force behind everything we do. It's what wakes us up in the morning. It's what keeps us moving forward when the road gets tough. And it's what gives meaning to our struggles and triumphs. Without purpose, life can feel aimless, like we're drifting without a clear direction. But when we have a clear sense of purpose, everything changes. The problem, however, is that many of us struggle to find our purpose, or we get caught up in the wrong kinds of motivations. We chase success, recognition, or status, thinking that these things will bring us fulfillment. We tie our worth to our achievements, our possessions, or how others perceive us. But while these things can bring temporary satisfaction, they are not the foundation of lasting fulfillment. Success and recognition are fleeting. They can be taken away in an instant. What endures is the sense that we are living for something bigger than ourselves, that we are contributing to a cause or a mission that matters. Living with purpose means waking up every day with a sense of intention. It means having a vision for the kind of life you want to create and aligning your actions with that vision. It means understanding that your work, your relationships, and your decisions are all part of a larger picture. And it means recognizing that the impact you have on others is just as important, if not more so, than the impact you have on yourself. When we focus on something greater than our own needs or desires, we begin to see the world differently. We stop measuring our success by what we can accumulate, and we start measuring it by the difference we make in the lives of others. This shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It allows us to let go of the ego, to stop seeking validation, and to focus on something that is truly meaningful. We begin to lead with intention, not for the sake of personal gain, but for the sake of a greater good. This sense of purpose is what drives the most effective leaders. They don't lead to build their own empires or to gain power or control. They lead because they believe in something larger than themselves. They have a vision for a better world, and they inspire others to join them in that vision. These leaders are motivated by a desire to serve others, to lift others up, and to create something that will outlast them. Their purpose isn't tied to their own success, it's tied to the success and growth of those they lead. And when a leader's purpose is rooted in something greater than themselves, they create a culture of collaboration, trust, and empowerment. People want to follow leaders who are driven by purpose, not by ego. They want to be part of something meaningful, something that has the potential to make a real difference. Living with purpose doesn't mean that everything we do has to be grand or world-changing. It simply means that we approach everything with intention. Whether we're working on a small project, raising a family, or contributing to our communities, if we do it with purpose, it will be meaningful. Purpose infuses even the most mundane tasks with significance. It gives us a sense of direction, a reason to keep going, and a reminder of why our efforts matter. When we live with purpose, we are motivated not by the desire for recognition or validation, but by the desire to make a difference. We are driven by the knowledge that our actions, no matter how small, are part of something larger than ourselves. In the face of challenges, purpose becomes even more crucial. There will always be setbacks, obstacles, and moments of doubt. There will be times when it feels like everything is working against us, when the road is steep and the journey is long. But when we have a clear sense of purpose, these challenges become more manageable. We can remind ourselves why we are doing what we're doing, and that gives us the strength to keep going. Purpose provides the resilience to face adversity with determination and grace. It helps us stay focused on the long-term vision, even when the immediate situation seems overwhelming. Furthermore, living with purpose allows us to lead by example. When others see that we are driven by a cause that is bigger than ourselves, they are inspired to do the same. Purpose is contagious. It sparks something in others, motivating them to find their own sense of purpose and to live with greater intention. When we lead with purpose, we create a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves. We inspire others to connect with their own deeper motivations, and together, we create something far greater than we could ever achieve on our own. In the end, living with purpose is the key to true fulfillment. It's not about chasing accolades or climbing the corporate ladder. It's about contributing to something that matters, something that makes a difference in the lives of others. Purpose gives us a reason to wake up each day with enthusiasm, to face challenges with resolve, and to keep pushing forward, even when the going gets tough. It turns every action, every decision, and every relationship into something meaningful. And when we live with purpose, we inspire others to do the same. Together, we create a world where we are all working towards something greater than ourselves, and that is where true success lies.